The Boston Bruins have backed themselves into a corner and have forced the organization to make a move. An impossible decision that can go right now with no leads on any part of this season. We're going to be talking about everything that started off the Bruins' struggles here and what moves need to be made to make this team bounce back and get back in the win column at the beginning of this very disappointing season. Before we get into all of this news here, be sure to hit the sub button. We know 75% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join me here on the channel as we cover everything Boston Bruins related. Without any further ado, though, we need to get into this first topic, which is going to be the game. You know, what we seen last night against the Nashville Predator is simply just getting ridiculous. The penalties that this team is taking has made every Bruins fan go crazy. Every time we see Max Jones, Nikita Zadorov on the ice, we can almost guarantee there will be a penalty. Nikita Zadorov has had a penalty in every game so far, and with a very crazy stat that I will pull up right here, this is an absolutely insane thing for the Boston Bruins. The Bruins are on pace for over 500 penalties in the 24-25 season in 82 games. That would be their highest total since 2001 and 2002, where we knew that was a completely different game. Anything went, and penalties were flying off the shelf in that era, but you don't hear about 500 penalties anymore in a season, and they currently average the most penalties with 6 per Bruins squad in the 60 minutes since 2010. That's the most of this whole season, or the whole past 10 seasons for the Bruins, really just pointing to where we're seeing our struggles. This is really just kind of a shining light on where we see the Bruins really having these issues throughout the beginning of this season, and that is not, there's no signs of that slowing down anytime soon. It is genuinely frustrating watching these Bruins games, knowing that whenever we have an opportunity, there will be a penalty taken by whenever Max Jones steps on the ice, which I was very wrong about in last video. I will completely admit that. Putting him on the second line was not the option that the Bruins needed, and definitely not the resolution to their problems. However, there are ideal situations where he could flip this around and stop the penalty taking, but that is not going to happen overnight with the way that we've seen him and Nikita Zadorov play. Another one, as I mentioned, Nikita Zadorov, not one that we want to see continue to take penalties. He's a very good defender, a very good player that the Bruins need to have in this lineup, and you really can't afford to let him sit in their upcoming games with how good he can be on defense and ceiling that he has. With the penalties he's taking, though, that is a very big issue that needs to be resolved. And looking at what we are seeing here from the game score yesterday, as you can see, the bottom 6, really, I'll even add here in this one, but the bottom line in general, really, the one that really resolves this whole situation out and really lights a fire under this team when they get on the ice. But the top guys on this team are once again at the bottom of the stat card, which in this game was very, very bad. Losing 4-0, even though the Bruins had opportunities, they were not quality chances, not too many quality chances. And whenever they did have one, we know we'd see a penalty, which is something that is so disappointing to be able to see. And, you know, accepting the fact that we're going to see a penalty at some point in this game when the Bruins may be on a hot run, it is something that we need to see change, and we need to see change quick. But Pavel Zacha at the top of this, being in this bottom 6 right now, is a very good sign. Once again, having the bottom 6 here being the best is better than having just the bottom line here. So we may have found something in that line on the third line, but we want to see the top 6 still be better, and those are really the issues that we're seeing with the offense, with everything that comes to this. We cannot be losing 4-0 to a Nashville Predators team that has not won a game this season, and this being their first win. Yes, UC Saros played good, but we cannot be losing these games to teams that are not on our level. And frankly, the Bruins are at the bottom level of the NHL right now, which has been evident with this game, and really all signs from this game are pointing to some moves being made, and some moves being made imminent. We need to change. We need to see a change for this Boston Bruins team, and there are many moves that this team can make and should be ready to make at any point in this season. And obviously, the first one we're going to be looking at is the AHL. What's going on right there? Now, there are many players in the AHL that could come up, many that were probably ready to make the NHL at the beginning of the season, but of course that roster did not work out and ultimately got sent down to Providence. And looking at what Scott McLaughlin had to say here, he says, think it's time for something other than just moving around the same chess pieces for Thursday. Don't know if Johnson, Lysell, and all of the above, this group isn't cutting it, especially up front. And I think that's a big thing that we all know, we're all accepting at this point, that even though we do have David Pastrnak, Elias Lindholm, guys that really are notable names on this top six, they're not working out right now. And as you mentioned, Tyler Johnson still sticking around this team, still skating in Boston. A bit of an odd situation for the NHL veteran, not being on a team, but still just kind of waiting on the sidelines. While Fabian Lysell, Georgi Merkulov, these guys in the AHL, playing okay, not playing up to their notable level, but this may be the change that they need in their careers at this point, and also the change that the Bruins need. These guys aren't known to take penalties. The speed and size of these guys are a bit smaller, but that's one thing the Bruins kind of need to add. They've been too slow leading to these penalties, having to take a stick infraction to be able to stop the guys going on a 3-on-2 from the opposing team, and it really just is kind of a domino effect of the size taking the penalties, and the penalties resulting in the loss. And one thing the Bruins are going to have to change is some people up front, whether that is, as I mentioned, Fabian Lysell, Georgi Merkulov, Tyler Johnson. Something has to be done. And looking at this as well, we do have another AHL kind of stats here. I kind of want to pull up this, just discuss who are some possibilities that could reach the NHL level at this season. And Vinny Lettieri is one where it's a maybe. We've seen him be for Jacob Lauko in the trade against the Minnesota Wild last season. That ultimately, a lot of people weren't too happy with that, but Vinny Lettieri is a solid, certified professional that can at least make an impact on this team in some way. I know he won't be a top 6 player because he's not reaching the bottom 6 at all. They're playing well. The top 6 is what we're looking for. So realistically, I think we're left with maybe 2 to 3 players. One being Riley Duran, who's not on this list, but for 1 point in 4 games in the AHL, certainly could make that crack just to see if we can get any spark for him in the NHL level. Georgi Merkulov, Fabian Lysell, 2 guys that were questionable to make the roster at the beginning of the season. Their time may be coming sooner rather than later. Don't really matter how they play in the AHL. I think some things are needed to at least make an impact here on this team. And it's going to be something that needs to be done soon. And last of all, I think John Farinacci could be an option as well, with his kind of experience and how he's played at this point. So we have these AHL guys, but there are many other players that I think the Bruins fans want to see, and one of those being Tyler Johnson. I think he's the guy that really everybody is looking at now. Everybody is waiting for. Everybody wants to see on this lineup, including myself. I think he should have been on this lineup at the beginning of the season, let alone still not even on a roster 2 or 3 weeks into the season, however far we are in it. Looking at what we have here, this comes from, I can't remember where this from, I do apologize, but he's skating right there, trying to get in shape, remaining patient at hopes of getting a contract. That's what TSN insider Craig Johnson explained on Tuesday on Insider Trading from TSN. It's a bit of an unusual circumstance for the veteran forward, and the Bruins have liked him. They have him at camp, they've liked him at camp, but they don't have the cap space at this point, so it would be someone who's going on waivers to a trade to create some space, or maybe an injury creates an opportunity, but Tyler Johnson is willing to wait it out for an eventual work out a deal with Boston. So, to me, there are many, many options that can go on to the AHL, go on waivers. Riley Tufte is certainly one. Max Jones really hasn't been performing up to his standards, which is one thing that I think the Bruins could potentially move on from. They could not that early, but they could certainly try and send him down the AHL if no teams are going to claim him. But I think all signs are pointing to Tyler Johnson being on this team, at least in the next coming week. Let me know what you think about that. I think it's certainly something that needs to be done before things get out of hand, which is very, very close, unfortunately, if you are a Bruins fan. So let me know what you think about these potential moves and how this team played against Nashville. But I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.